All right. A very good evening to you all. This is your brother and friend, Joshua Ponsafo of the New African Concepts. And then once again, we come your way, as we always do on Mondays, with a session of the fact checkers. On Wednesday, we also take our time for a teaching session. And we've started studying on understanding the concept of the church, And then on Fridays, we dedicated for an extended edition of the Voice of Reformation. I've already said that the whole of June we will be committing it to that of reconstructing the soul of Ghana for the whole of June. We started last week Friday, and then this week too we will continue. All right, but today is fact checkers, and then last week, is it last week or last 2 weeks, one person asked the question, and then we focus on the second aspect. But the first aspect read, can a Christian do politics? Yes, but we did not touch on it. I just gave a summarized answer, and then move to the other session, where the other session was dealing with very specific points concerning the Christian and then material gains. In the course of last week, I've also had two different people specifically asking me on the same question of the Christian and politics. And I think that it is also spewing from how things are going in the country, and then the way forward, what should be the church's role, and then all that. So that becomes the very important element or aspect of it. So after this continues almost 3 or 4 times of people asking the question on the politics, I think that today we can spend time to answer it. Okay, so when you come on board, as usual, you do well and share a comment, and then also like, and then share so for others to also join in what we are doing. So back to the question. 4 people from different sectors, all believers, have asked me this question within 1 week, and that question is, must a Christian get into politics, or is it right for a Christian to do politics? Okay, so we must even first understand what stimulates this question in the first place. Then after assessing the stimulant, or what normally brings this question to play, then we now consider the question itself, whether it is a yes or no. In my dealings, I have really found that in many cases, when somebody asks, or when a Christian asks this question, that must a Christian get into politics, it is with the notion that politics, especially in Ghana and Africa, politics is so much decayed that it is not right for a Christian who is serious and really desires to live the Christian life and then make it to heaven. It is not, right for you to get into politics. It is even has been nicknamed the devil's den. So politics have been nicknamed the devil's den, that it is a play of the devil. That is where the devils or the demons have their best show. So for you to be there, it means that you can easily lose your salvation. It means that you can easily perish. Why? Because, of course, you are going to mess things up. Where did we get this mentality? We get this mentality because we continually see things that they do, the corruptions, the chopping of the monies, and then the unconcerned aspect of many politicians towards the citizens. And that is why those questions, do come to bear. But it is very important that we consider things very much. Now, the question we will even start as we go along is that, was Jesus even involved in politics? Mostly when I talk about this, that is the question that people ask me, that what you are saying, I don't believe it, or I don't trust it, or I don't agree with you, because I don't see Jesus doing politics. Jesus comes in 1st century, Palestine, which was under the banner of the Roman Empire at that time, Caesar Augustus. We don't see Jesus forming, a mob or a political party that, let us overthrow, Augustus and then all that. Yes. So the question is, was Jesus involved in politics? Now we must define politics. We have the broad definition of politics and then the narrow definition of politics. The broad definition of politics, in the broad definition of politics, politics is anything that affects the entire life and culture of a group of people. So on a broader sense, politics has to do with an everyday life. The day-to-day activities of a group of people in a given society or country or in a given geographical zone is what we call politics. So on a broader terms, to define politics on a broader term, it is nothing strange. It is basically the day-to-day activities, the day-to-day engagements, anything that affects the day-to-day engagements, going to school, going to work, all those kind of stuffs of a group of people in a given environment or a geographical location is politics. Now, in the narrower sense or in the narrow sense of the word politics, if we want to define it, then we'll be referring to it as anything that associates with governance. So the governance and then policies. So the assessment of policies in order to govern a group of people. In the narrower sense, politics has to do with institutions, systems, and then stuff that are laid in place, policies. So these are the three things: institutions, systems, and then policies, which are set in array in its bit to set what we call governance within a particular framework. In the broader sense, it is just anything that affects the daily life of every citizen in a given country or in a given society. So did Jesus practice or was he involved in politics? Now, if we are talking about politics in the broader sense, of course, then Jesus was involved in politics. Anything that affected the everyday life, the day-to-day lives of the people, we saw Jesus also, he was not in space, he was on earth, and then he was involved in the day-to-day activities. Now, if we are defining politics according to the narrower sense, then it will be an indirect involvement. We don't see Jesus setting up institutions, setting up policies, setting up systems in order to more or less overthrow maybe a particular government. He was not doing coup and then all that. He even said that my kingdom is not of this world, because the Jews erroneously assumed that the Messiah will be a militant Messiah in the spirit of King David, who will overthrow the Roman Empire, and so that Jerusalem and Israel will be able to become have that kind of independence. But he said that my kingdom is not of this world. So in the narrower sense of the word, then Jesus Christ was not directly involved in politics, but he was indirectly involved in politics. Why was he indirectly involved in politics? Because Jesus brought to bear a new kind of leadership, which before then has never surfaced, and that is what we call servant leadership. So servant leadership was pioneered by Jesus Christ, and then he was telling his disciples, he was teaching them, who in turn were expected to teach the others, that he said that as for the publicans, they lord it over the others, but it shall not be so amongst you. For the greatest of you must be, or if you seek to be the greatest, then you must be the meanest or the lowliest of servants. So servant leadership as a way of living or as a way of leadership was actually taught by Jesus. So what it means is that in the course of time, if you are a Christian and then you scale political heights, now for the first time, instead of living according to how the world lived, by being authoritative, totalitarian, and then oppressing people and then controlling and dominating them, that has been the definition of leadership all this while. Many people think, or the voice of the culture and the world says that if you are a leader, you are the one commanding people left, right, center. You are the one dominating over others. You are the one, doing literally everything, and then having the lion's share of the praises and of the benefits. But Jesus comes in and teaches us something different. He says that to be a leader is to be a ladder. It's not a word that he said, but actually I'm talking of what he taught. So Jesus taught servant leadership. It means that if you were a politician and then you became a Christian, or you were a Christian and you became a politician, then what you do is that instead of practicing, leadership according to the world's perspective, you begin to practice leadership from the kingdom's perspective, riding on what Jesus taught, which was servant leadership. So by Jesus establishing a new model of leadership, which was servant leadership, he was indirectly involved in politics by making sure that people who will become Christians and later get into politics will not lord it over the people, will not dominate it over the people, but rather they will be practicing what he taught, which was servant leadership. So back to the question again, that can a Christian and must a Christian get into politics? I said whether last week or last 2 weeks that it is a big yes. Any teaching, any theology which will suggest the slightest or the foggiest idea that Christians must not invade into the political arena is doing a great disservice to Christianity, to the kingdom of God, and also it is a misrepresentation and a misinterpretation of the biblical text. It is hard to find a biblical support for the idea that Christians must not go into politics. You see, if something has been abused, you don't neglect it entirely. I've always been repeating these phrases, that you don't throw away the water with the baby. No, you don't do that. You don't say that science has been abused. It has been used to make, biological weapons. It has been used to make nuclear bombs. It has been used to make rifles. It has been used to make atomic bombs. And it has killed thousands and thousands of people. You don't draw a premature conclusion that because science has been abused, therefore it is not fit to be used, or we must jettison it entirely. Yes, when you go to the internet, you can also, people have abused it, where they use it for pornography and then all. But you cannot throw away technology in its entirety because a group or a section of debased people have abused the relevance of its use. You are listening to me because of the power of technology. If it is not that, then you will not get access, as we are, hundreds and thousands of kilometers away or apart. You will not get that access. But it is also being abused. In the same vein, we must understand that it has been abused. Politics has been abused. Politics is not of the devil. Politics is not of the devil because politics deals with rulership. It deals with governance. And what was the prophecy concerning Jesus? It says that, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. So there is a new governance. That is the governance of the Holy Spirit, or the governance of the kingdom. So the kingdom is also a form of politics, just that it has its own principles. It has its own tenets. It is very important that Christians go into politics, especially Christians with mandate in leadership. So it is not just wake up and then go. No, we are saying that if you feel called, if you feel that there is a burden upon your heart, and then you have an inclination towards politics and then leadership, and then you are a Christian, it is very much needed that you go. We cannot keep on. Why is it that we don't ask that can Christians, get to places like, can Christians get to academia? Why don't we ask that question? That can Christians become professors? Can Christians get to media? Can Christians become parents? Can Christians become, yes, we don't ask because we think it is normal. Immediately unya ball politics then the entire church goes gaga. Say, hey, once you are going there, you are going to chop the money. So the question is, until when? To what time? Jesus said that we should occupy till he comes. We have been given a charge. We have been given a mandate. Every society rests on 7 cardinal pillars. every society rests on 7 cardinal pillars. 1 is the church and religion, 2 is family and culture, 3 is education and health, 4 is the media, 5 is arts and entertainment, 6 is business, economy and commerce, and then number 7 is governance and politics. So believers are expected to be in all these 7 pillars so that they can pipe down the glory of God through kingdom principles. They can pipe down the glory of God to all those several areas. And then let me, wrap up even with this aspect that there is something that it is a funny loop. Say, okase a Christopher, our whole duty, and they say, yabe a Christopher no, yambabra bokonkron na yenko heaven. If that is the whole essence of Christianity, now what happens is that we will neglect getting into politics. Then we will have unbelievers or Christians who don't take their Christian practice serious, who will get into politics. Now they will be enacting laws for us because it is an ignorant statement. Excuse my language, but it is a statement of ignorance to say, oh, maybe I don't like politics. Anytime anybody says that, and you will find the church or Christians who are indifferent, oh, media, politics, they are, it affects you whether you are like it or not. It affects you. You cannot be immune regardless of the presence of God in your life. Regardless of the presence of God in your life, I can assure you that you cannot be immune to the gravitational pull of the defect of politics in the land. If you send more than 100 Ghana cedis, you bet to e-levy. Until your spirituality does not affect the e-levy. So, whatever you do, you must come into terms with realities that wherever you are and whatever you do, politics will affect you. So, if it is going to affect you, why should we leave such a precious aspect to unbelievers, to people who don't have Christ in them, to be managing? And all what we do is to be in church on Sundays and then be clapping and praising and doing choreography. No. The time has come for us to be enlightened. The time has come for us to invade into all these areas. So I want to stand on to encourage you as you're listening, especially the youth. If you are passionate about it, don't allow erroneous theology to, chain you. If you are passionate about it, please do what? Start now, studying. Read the history of Ghana. Read the history of this thing. Be praying as well and be preparing yourself so that you can go inside and then make a change. We cannot be outside always and just be praying that, in Norman Sessan. There be, in Norman Sessan, you see, the funny thing is that, Osha Church now, I've always been saying that there is a difference between social services and then social actions. Social service, and only say, oh yeah, in normal, yeah, the air boy and na yesu air cano. When I was, when I was in the prison, you did not come and visit me. When I was naked, you did not come and clothe me. When I was hungry, you did not come and feed me. And then all that. Those staffs or those provisions, we must understand that they are essentially what we call social services. Social services. We normally see that several groups and churches will go to the streets and then look at the street children. Na oman noa ebi aduane, na omo de nyom esi ye car no so no mo bo, no mo che nnuane as a way of showcasing love to the people. Is it wrong? No, it is very good. Because omo bread, they are less privileged. So social service, and they say, what sorry, na one aduane, na wako prison, na wakocha mo social service any say mwatena se na ebia mwakeka mo nsa as a church or as fellow believers na mwato bags of rice and a milo any say de keka wakoye donation to orphanage. So social service any say share a year in Wisiane, the street children and then all those kind of people. Once a while we make donations as a way of expressing our love and concern for them. That is social services. But the church has no problem with social services. Sisi is a Meko street, Meko Madina market. Na ebia womo mo dida kwan ho enom ne ade. Me tam ebia 10,000 cedis. Na say every week when I go and then I give everybody maybe 200 cedis and I say 100, or say even 50 cedis kra na. Say debia me tam 10,000 cedis every week and I say every month. I take 10,000 cedis and then those who are the disabled and then the poor people, I just share it for them every now and then. What would the church say concerning me? Oh, that's good. You are doing the work of God. That is what the church is going to tell me right now. When I say that, okay, now I want to go a step further. I want to invade onto the slippery grounds of politics. Immediately, the same church that was praising me for helping the poor, for helping the disabled, for helping the street child, for helping the ghetto boys and then girls, for helping the kayayus. The same church that was praising and even supporting me so that I can do that monthly donations to them. Immediately I make mention of politics, that I want to go into politics. Now you will find that your family members will call you. O kwame debi maybe akeka ko de ho etro jai wo de koso na ye de wo ye na nka no aye and then the church will also be telling you, hey, nah, how can you be going into politics? You will lose your salvation. You cannot be a good Christian. I mean, just stop it. You de share and amonsia da ho twen you just cry about it is all about preparing yourself to go to heaven. So you, I mean, just continue doing good to the less privileged people. Now to go into politics there, it is a dirty game. That is the erroneous approach of the church. It is a dirty game, so don't go there. The question is, who made it dirty? Jesus said, but from the beginning it was not so. Marriage has become a dirty institution. Marriage, the essence of marriage, it was given as a physical demonstration or as a prototype to demonstrate understanding between the love between God or Jesus and then the church. Was it not God who instituted marriage? Yes. He said, "Enuntina obema bede obeja ni parents no wakofa the lady, and then they will become one, and then the two shall become one." So marriage has been or was instituted by God. Has it been abused? Yes, it has been abused. People are marrying robots. Today, I mean, my wife showed me a headline of an Indian TikTok celebrity who is planning to marry herself. And then they've captioned it sologamy. Say polygamy, monogamy, and sologamy. And you know, or a TikTok star in India, she wants to marry herself. Now we celebration being a woman. There's a spin testing now, so I mean it's the same thing. But that is it. Marriage has been abused. People are marrying objects. People are marrying their dogs. People are marrying all kinds of things, even homosexuality, and then all that. So should Christians leave marriage because it has been abused? No. Marriage has been made dirty, but we must not leave it because our duty is to sanitize it. In the same vein, I mean, politics have been made dirty. Question on say, when a year is dirty, who made it dirty? Was it angels? No, it was not angels who made it dirty. It was human beings operated, I mean, by the forces of hell. Enti a nipa and a man politics ebe dirty. And problems that were created by man will be solved by man. Problems that were created by man will be solved by man. Problems that are created by spirits will be solved by spirits. That is why the sin, where the introduction of sin into the world, was by the devil, enticing Adam and Eve. And he is a theophanic being. That is why man could not fight for himself, and he took another higher spirit, that is God in flesh, to solve it. Now, so problem nipa dasani ekose ye no eno no enye nyame ana eba solve nipa. Flooding is caused by mismanagement. Nipa problem ana aba. Until the solution for flooding is not prayer, the solution for flooding, it will also take a human being or human beings to correct it. So politics have been made dirty by the devil working through human beings. How then is it that it cannot be solved? How then is it that it cannot be sanitized and cleansed by other human beings also being used by God? So you see what I'm saying? It is a dangerous and a serious thing when when Christians or the church seem to make it look like it is wrong for believers to go into politics. No. Going into politics is what we call social action. Social service no ana ma chirechire mu no. Social service no ne say oye adoye ama inwisia ni street children any woman omukika ika ho. But social action is a bigger thing than even the social service. Social action is taking practical steps so that you can end the system that brought the people onto the street in the first place. Between social service and social action, which one is, better? Social services does not end the problem. It only mollifies, it only placates as a reducing tension any yawa ewo asemnumu. Social action is taking a higher step so that you can get into systems, you can get into policy making levels, you can get into institutions, so that broken system now at these street children you will correct it so that there will be no street children in the first place. Is the church not making an error to think that you can give a street children or a street child food and that one is okay, but going into politics, governance and politics, so that you can end streetism entirely, that one is not okay? Wow. Then the question is, why were you giving streetism is okay? If you think streetism is okay, why don't you allow your children to sleep on the streets? If you think streetism is okay, why is it that once a year or twice a year you make donation to them at the street, in the streets? It is because you have realized that things on the streets or life on the streets or on the ghetto is very, very difficult. And to say, yeah, the system, and I say, yeah, the equine air tomb, they will not come onto the streets even in the first place. As for that one, you have a problem. I think the church must revisit her theology very, very well. So there is nothing wrong for believers to get into politics. And in fact, it is expected of you. Let me give you a practical example as I end. Between social services and then social action. We all know the problem of slave trade. When the white man, of course, slave trade or slavery has been everywhere. But when the white man came to Africa and then now when America was discovered, they needed plantation in the Caribbeans. And then they started taking slaves from Ghana and other West African countries and several parts. They took millions upon millions of black men and women as slaves to America and then Europe, especially UK and then America, the New Indies. So slave trade was one of the greatest economic booster for Britain at that time, and then even for America and then all. I'm sure you did a little bit of social studies, and you might have heard or known how slave trade ended. How did it end? It ended because a parliamentarian called William Wilberforce. He was not the only one. He, together with 6 other Christian friends. Who was William Wilberforce? William Wilberforce was a pastor. Was a Christian. He was a Christian. Specifically, he was a Methodist. He was a contemporary of the founder of Methodism, that is John Wesley. Few days before the death of John Wesley wrote a letter to William Wilberforce, because William Wilberforce was contemplating that he wanted to also leave being a politician or a parliamentarian, so that he will join the Methodist pastors. He had lay preachers and then he had full-time preachers, and they were preaching the length and breadth of England. So William Wilberforce wanted to go into full-time ministry. So he was speaking over with John Wesley that he wanted to resign being a parliamentarian, so that he will come and then he will become a full minister of the Methodist Church. Few days before the death of John Wesley wrote a letter to William Wilberforce. Less than even 5 days. Immediately John Wesley wrote the letter to William Wilberforce. By 5 days' time, he died. So in the letter, he wrote to William Wilberforce, and then he told him that no, he feels that God has an assignment for him in the Parliament House. So he shouldn't leave the Parliament House to become a full-time minister of the Methodist Church. After all, he can be a lay preacher, but he should focus on what God has laid upon his heart, so that he can push it at the parliamentarian or at the Hall of Parliament. And then William Wilberforce obeyed the writings of, or the instruction of John Wesley. What was the results? Now he started pushing against or fighting against slavery, which was an established profit-making venture, highly commercialized, endorsed by the government and the Queen of England in transporting slaves from the shores of Africa to the place to come and work, and then they were treated brutally. So now this Christian called William Wilberforce, who was a parliamentarian, MP, he, together with 6 other friends of his who were also Christian parliamentarians, they started making arguments in the Parliament House. It took them over 20 years, almost about 23 years, pushing the agenda, fighting for the slaves, and they were using correct aspects of the scriptures. Say you're wrong, because all men were created equal in the image of God. It is wrong for you to dominate people. It is wrong for you to take your fellow man as captives, regardless of their skin color, whether they are white, green, red, black. It does not matter. All men were created equal. These were the stars that Christian parliamentarians, led by William Wilberforce, they were pushing. Fast forward, after 23 good years of back and forth, finally William Wilberforce had a breakthrough, and slavery was abolished in UK. When slavery was abolished in the UK, now it's also transported to US, and then they abolished it. In the US, UK, time of abolishing slave trade, no. Slaves na oma bedru UK at that time, no. They were given 2 options. So open say wotena UK hwa, ye be mo atena honom. And open say wotena America hwa, ye be mo atena honom. They became the Black Americans. And a while person will come back to Africa, no. UK. So what Britain did was, Britain created Sierra Leone as a hub for all slaves, because it has been aborted. Now all slaves were now free. Those who were not willing to stay in UK, all of them were brought to Sierra Leone to come and stay there. So Sierra Leone was not an original country. Sierra Leone was a country created by Great Britain for ex-slaves after the abolition of slavery, led by William Wilberforce. That is why their capital is called Freetown. The same thing ana America and so yeah, America omu abolish slave trade no. Ana omuti a country called Liberia. That is the land of the liberty, Liberia, liberty. Ana woma omu pese omuti na America na umbeye a black Americans no. Yeswa omu na yede ba. So Liberia ex-slaves from US. Ana Sierra Leone ex-slaves from UK. But that's not the focus. The focus is that slavery was abolished. Slavery was abolished because William Wilberforce pushed. That is what we call social action. No amount of social service would have been able to abolish slavery. That is what I want you to get. No amount of social service. I've explained that social services and they say oh boy into the anka wo honum at that time and now yes say oh sika into once a month bia obenu aduane a aduane papa ama slaves no ma be free. That is social services. Ubetimesi hospital na slaves no abeji free treatment. That is social services. But social services does not abort a slave trade, because slave trade, no, for it to be aborted, it must be aborted from the halls of parliament and government. So assuming William Wilberforce and co were not there, slavery would have continued perhaps till now or till another time. Government now be abolish it. So you see the difference. In the same vein, Oba Ghana street children. Accra alone has more than 100,000 street children. Social services being new a bit to me and this streetism. There are certain things that Opesa was saying I just say when you cannot do everything. There are certain things you can do without going into politics, but there are certain authority, there are certain legal backing. Until you enter into politics, you will not be able to do it. So there is nothing wrong if people with burdens in leadership, as Christians, not just churchgoers, powerful Christians, they are needed. And especially how things are going in Ghana and Africa, we need tongue-speaking, flaming, fire-branded Christians who are also passionate on the subject of politics to be able to enter into politics so that we can conquer those lands for God. Corruption kills many people than wars ever kill. Corruption. Nipadudua corruption. Any war, even First World War, any Second World War, casualties no bomwa. I can assure you that corruption Africa. The corruption by our corrupt leaders is killing many people. As a result of unemployment, high rate of unemployment, ladies are giving themselves to, people or bosses to sleep with them. As a result of the hardship and tension in the system, people are running through Libya so that they will go through the Mediterranean Sea to seek for greener pastures. Many of them die along the line. I always use these statistics. 2016 alone, more than 500,000 people died in their bid to run away from Ghana, Sierra Leone, Nigeria to cross the Libya. Miami classmate died as part of it. And the classroom little did he know that Abrabonu beye ding no so wahwehwe say anka obepe greener pastures omuti epono so no a omoko Spain no the ship capsized and then they died. So the death of my brother or my classmate, he is called Isaac. May his soul rest in peace. The death of Isaac is predicated on corruption in the land. Because ankanya corruption na anka when we American niya or fat desert so and I say when we UK niya or fat a Mediterranean so say or call other place to seek for greener pastures. So by this time my friend Isaac and many others will still be living and working to advance Ghana, and they will also perhaps even become stronger Christians. But because of corruption in the land, people are escaping and they are dying. And Kenya semwa yemma yenua no mo ma sisi aye kase ko Kuwait and ko Qatar. And Kenya semma anka all the Ghana as a nation with all our rainforests, with all our natural resources, anka geographically enye Kuwait and Qatar omuti pen, even Dubai enye omuti pen and Ghana. Now, so because of mismanagement and then the poverty of leadership in Tino, we have our ladies becoming, house girls and then Kuwait, and then the Arabs, some of them are quite wicked. They keep on killing them. They keep on subjecting them to the harshest of treatment. And we think that as a church, the greatest contribution is that we can clap our hands and then just be saying Holy Ghost fire. No. Social services by the church is not enough. We need social action. Social action can only be conducted when we climb the ladder of politics and get into policy making influential positions, so that we, with the heart of God, we, under the bane of servant leadership, we will do the right thing. If you are a Christian and then you are in politics, the voice of servant leadership will say that I will not rest, I will not sleep. Isaiah 62, that's what God said. He said that for Zion's sake I will not keep quiet, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not remain silent until her righteousness blossoms. So that is it. So the Christian who is, I'm not talking of course we have many Christians who are currently in politics, but many of them are just churchgoers, or they just profess to be Christians. I'm talking about serious practicing Christians. We need them. Tongue speaking, holy Ghost's liquid fire carriers, full of the word, integrity and righteousness. We need them in politics. And in the spirit of servant leadership, they will save a lot of things. What will be their voice? Their voice will be that if I am an MP, or if I am a parliamentarian or a politician, what I'll say is that concerning my constituency, I will not rest. I am not sleeping until I am assured that everybody within my constituency has slept. I am not eating. This is what makes a leader. A leader is not the one who lives sumptuously and then the masses are struggling. No, the leader is the one who says that I am not going to eat until I am aware and well assured that everybody within my constituency has ate or is eating well. I am not going to sleep in a whole mansion until I am assured and aware that people in my constituency are not sleeping in the streets. And then our leaders are able to sleep. Then it means that we have lost conscience. Africa needs a conscience. Ghana needs a conscience. And the body of Christ, or the church, really needs a conscience. God richly bless you this evening. This has been Fact Checkers by your brother Joshua of the New African Concept. And the question we did was, that of, can or must a Christian get into politics? The summary is that yes, it is much needed now. And know the difference between social services and then social action. Slave trade couldn't have been abolished through any amount of social services. It had to take William Wilberforce and co. inside the halls of parliament to be able to do it. And even with that, it took them about 20 years to be able to do it. But they've been able to do it. Unemployment can be stopped if you have the right kind of people inside there. So my brothers, I think 4 people who asked me this question, I think this is it. I'll tag you so that you also listen and then you share your thoughts. Please let us do well to share so that many people will also hear the good news of what we have been talking about. It is very, very important. So the conclusion of the matter is that as far as change and transformation is concerned, and as far as the church is concerned, social services are not enough. We are not saying we should stop it. We should still do them in addition to climbing the ladders of social action. Social action will be able to end what has been bringing them onto the streets in the first place, so that even there will be no need for social services to some extent in the first place. So I strongly believe this has been, a good session. We will see in the course of this week as well. I have certain appointments, but we'll see how we will go about it. So just stay tuned. Still on Wednesday, we have that of the teaching. We'll continue with that of understanding the concept of the church. And then on Friday, we will also continue our series on reconstructing the soul of Ghana. Reconstructing the soul of Ghana. So God richly bless you. Let me just quickly chip in this 1 or 2 announcements. I've already said we have 2 schools. We are running, or we will be running 2 schools from July to September. July, August, September. Please, and a very big please, at least do well to feature in one of the schools. The first school is called the School of Transformational Leadership, or the School of Leadership. We are committed to raising or training tomorrow's leaders today. Please, I've already said, if you are a young guy and you are interested in politics and maybe you don't know what to do, where to start from, just contact me. You just contact me. Don't allow any pastor, don't allow any theology, don't allow a misconstrued theology to make you feel that your feeling is not divinely inspired. No, it is a misdirected, understanding. If you are passionate and you're a Christian about politics, please contact me. And one of the things we are doing is that we want to start today or now to raise a new crop of transformational leaders. And that is what this school is about. School of Transformational Leadership. It is going to be principally online. It is going to be a 3-month hot course. A 3-month course on leadership. Power-packed by able-bodied leaders who have experience and knowledge in the field of leadership. And then it will run from July to September online. So please, and a very big please, do well and contact me, and then you register. It is going to be power-packed. We are going to issue out certificates after the end of the 3-month course. It is going to be power-packed. The second school is the School of Apologetics. School of Apologetics. How things are going. Many people have a lot of questions on their mind concerning religion, concerning Islam, concerning Christianity especially, concerning the Bible, concerning Jesus, concerning a lot of things. If you want to know how to answer these things, we are also running the School of Apologetics. That one is also around the same time, July to September. Do well and then also come on board. And I can assure you there are 5 serious apologists, well-endowed apologists, who will be taking us through several aspects or topics of it. That one too will be issuing out a certificate at the end of the course by the end of September. You cannot afford to miss it. Contact me and then let me brief you on the modalities. And I strongly believe that your life is never going to be the same. Please, if you are a church leader, our focus is more on the youth. If you have youth leaders, wherever, because it's online, you can join wherever you are, whether you are in Ghana or even outside Ghana. So if you're a pastor or you belong to a church, you can suggest it to your youth leaders that they can also sign or register for the School of Leadership or the School of Apologetics. God richly bless you, and see you on Wednesday for the teaching session.